All right, one of the extra credit problems is 811G. It's this object on the screen here. It's kind of a pyramidish type thing. I wanted to go through this because it's not necessarily intuitively obvious on how we do this, but it's relatively simple to create this object in Inventor. So let me pull this away and go over to our Inventor. And here I've got a brand new part in Inventor, so we're going to start this problem out. So when we take a look at this part, basically the first thing that we have is we need to start with kind of a big block. So the dimensions on this big block are 12 by 8 by 5 high. So we're going to start with that extrude. So I am going to take a look down here. I'm going to change my orientation now so I have my XY. So I am going to do a sketch on this plane. So basically I'm going to then draw this. Now I need to watch down here. This is one of the things as it rotates, as Inventor rotates around to a planar surface, it sometimes changes the orientation. So positive X is down and positive Z is to the front, where you would think it'd kind of be rotated 180 degrees. So it's not always the way that you expect it. So kind of watch those two, especially if you're interested in getting the dimensions in a certain direction. So I'm going to start with a rectangle. And in this case, I want to go in my positive direction. So I'm going to go from my center point, which I always want to lock to my center point, and then come down. Now I've got my rectangle base. I'm going to then give it a dimension. This line has got a dimension of 12. And this line has got a dimension of 8, and it is off the screen. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here with the scroll wheel, and I have that, and you can see it's fully defined. So now I'm going to exit that sketch, and essentially I'm just going to click on my 3D model and say extrude, and I'm going to zoom out again because it's too far in, and it automatically selects that profile, and it gives me a distance and a direction, and I want it to go up, but I want it to have a dimension of 5. So if I click 5 on there, that is exactly what I want to start with here. So now we've got our block. So our block is the starting feature that we need. Now we need to go and start cutting the sides off. Well, we can't do the sides in one step. We can do it in multiple steps. So we're going to take 2 steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw on this face. So I click on that face, and then I start my 2D sketch. Now it rotates it around. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more. And now I want to cut off these upper corners. So I'm going to draw in some triangles. So I'm going to go from this top corner, okay, make sure that it is coincident. Come down, make sure I'm on that line, and then I'm going to go from this point up here and there to there. So now I've got that triangle there. Now it doesn't have the right dimensions, and since I'm locked to this corner point, you can see these 2 lines are black, which means that they're defined. This one is not defined, so we need to add a couple dimensions in here. So I try to get this line, and for some reason it's not letting me select that. It's only selecting the entire top line. So I need to go from this point to this point, and now I can dimension that. And I know this dimension is 3, so I'm going to type that in. Same thing here. I'm going to go from this point to this point, and I can put that in as 3. So now I have that in here. Now I need to draw the same thing over here on the other side. Now I'm going to show you another technique to do this, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line, and this line, oops, let's click on the line, and if I go up here and I kind of hover over right to the center of this line, you can kind of see it kind of snaps. It shows a point, in the little icon right to the left of the X there shows kind of a dot right in the middle. That's a midpoint. So I'm going to draw a line from there down here, and I'm going to snap to that bottom line, and I've drawn this line. Now I don't want it to be solid line, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit escape. Now I'm going to hover over that line, or select that line, and then right click on it, and I'm going to turn that into a center line. So now it's not a geometry, but it is a feature that we can use. So in this case, now what I'm going to use is a mirror function. So I'm going to mirror this triangle, so I don't need to draw it again. I can just mirror it. So now I'm going to do a mirror. Now it says select. What do I want to mirror? So I'm going to draw a box around what I want to mirror. Oops. In this case, when I dragged from the left to the right, it selected everything that the lines were touching. Now, that's not what I want, so I'm going to hit escape again and deselect everything, go up to a mirror, select. Now I'm going to go from the upper left to the lower right, you can see the box is now red, and now it will only select those items that are completely within that box. So now it only selects those 3 lines that we can see highlighted in blue. Now I'm going to select my mirror line. I'm going to select the center line that we had, and then I'm going to say apply. Now you can see that I have that. Now I can say done. Now I have those 2 sketches, and I'm ready to cut that part out. So now I'm going to go to my 3D model and go to extrude, just like we made our part, but I don't want to extrude it. I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's start from the top here. It says profile, select profiles. Well, if I hover over this, you can see I have a variety of different profiles to choose from, but I want to choose this one, and I want to choose this one. And you can see that it's adding material right now, and that's not what I want. So I want to come down here to the output, the Boolean. Instead of saying join, I'm going to say cut. Now the cut is going into the part. Now it doesn't go all the way through the part. I wanted to go through the part. It has a distance on it. And in this case, I'm going to just say through all, because I wanted to cut through the entire thing. So now I've got my everything selected properly, my sections, my profiles, my extrusion distance, and how I want it to turn out. So I can say OK. Now you can see that we have that cut there. Now in this case, that is the first step. Now we have to do the second step. So we're going to have to cut these corners off on the side. So I'm going to do the same thing again and select this face. I'm going to draw on that face because I'm going to cut from that face all the way through the part. So now in this case, I will then select sketch. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Oops, I'm going to zoom out. Get this a little bit bigger for us. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Now remember, I went to the corner here, came down, and then I went from the corner over, and then basically draw those in there. So there's my first one. Again, I need to add a dimension. Now the one thing here is that I know that this is actually going to come all the way down. So if I wanted to, I could grab that point and bring it and have it constrained all the way down to the bottom there, and then just add a dimension from this point to the end point right there and give that a dimension of 3. And now you can see that is fully defined on there. So again, I can go through here, do my line of my center point, hover over, find my center point down there, right click. Actually, we are going to turn that into a center line. Now you can, actually that was the wrong one. So I would need to click on it, then right click on it, left click, then right click, then click center line. Now I have my center line, mirror, upper right or upper left to lower right, got those defined, mirror line here, and we can apply, and now we've got that in there. So we can say done. Now if I rotate this around, let's see if I can rotate this around, you can see actually those profiles are now just sitting in space, and that is totally fine. But when we go to extrude them or cut them, they're going to go through that part. So in this case, we can go up, do our extrude, select our profiles again here and here. It's adding. I don't want that. I want to cut. Now it only went part way through. I want to go through all. And now we can see here how it's kind of going all the way through that part in there. And then we can say OK. And there we go. And actually, if I click up here, I can rotate that around. Now that looks like our part, and that is all there is to it, to creating 811G.